I'm about to make a very bold claim. I think I'm one of the only magicians to ever have photos of Mac Miller reacting to magic. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is true, but as of now, I think I'm the only magician that has ever captured Mac Miller in the state of watching magic. When you see these photos, you're going to see him in the most happiest state. You're going to see him smiling hardcore. You're going to see him laughing and his cheekbones out. So without further ado, I'm going to tell you guys the story of my favorite magic interaction with Mac Miller.
I just be like, fuck you, what you need, you can't get nothing from me. You was talking shit, now I'm somebody you would love to be. I'ma do my thing until the day the reaper come for me.
When I was 19 and 20 years old, I worked at one of the hottest nightclubs out in downtown St Pete called Club Detroit. So behind Club Detroit, there was a door that led to the backstage of Jannus Live, where some of the greatest musicians have booked their tours. So I always had this backstage access to all these shows like Daddy Yankee, Juicy J, and so many more to name. Well, this one particular day, I go backstage before a show, and one of Mac Miller's team members said that I'm not allowed back there. Even if I worked there, I was not allowed back there. And that was a hit. You know, I got rejected. You know, it was a big disappointment. I was really bummed out. The show's going on, having a great time, and after the show, I decided to go up to the tour bus to see if I can catch him there. So I start doing magic outside the tour bus, and someone notices me, goes inside the tour bus, and grabs someone out. And I'm thinking he's going to pull up Mac Miller. It wasn't Mac Miller, but as I start doing magic to this guy, tells me to follow him on Twitter, and I didn't know it at the time, but it was Chance the Rapper. So I got to do some of my best magic to Chance the Rapper. Later on, I'm talking to one of the security guards about how disappointed I was that I didn't get to meet Mac Miller, and he told me, "You didn't hear this from me, but Mac Miller's upstairs at Club Detroit." So I walk back in Club Detroit and I see my photographer buddy there. And I tell him how Mac Miller's upstairs. And he said that he knew and that they're not letting anyone upstairs. I got my second disappointment, very bummed out. But, you know, I didn't let it get to me. I'm like, you know, I'm going to kick myself in the butt if I don't at least try. So I go up the stairs, past the security guard, and there he is. And when you see him, you know, you could tell it's Mac Miller. He's got a certain stature, he's got a certain demeanor, he's got this aura, this energy. Now, I had to think smart. I know now as a magician that you can't always just go up to someone and say you're a magician and expect them to say yes. So the strategy that I had was I saw a lady that was standing nearby and I lit up my fire wallet. Now this startled the lady, and then I was able to show the lady and her friends some magic. And they're freaking out. They're screaming, "No! What the fuck?" You know, and they're screaming and reacting real hard. And that's when I noticed Mac Miller turning around and looking. And that's when I made it seem like it was his idea. Like, "Hey, do you want to see a quick magic trick? Do you want to see some of this?" And that's when I was able to go up to him. I showed him something real quick that got him hyped up. He got his whole table watching, and throughout this, he's loving it. He's smiling so hard. I didn't realize that Mac Miller loved magic that much. And there's a point that he asked to borrow my cards to show me a trick. Now, every magician knows what trick they're going to show you. When the spectator says, "Hey, can I see your cards? Let me show you a trick," they know exactly what trick it's going to be, and they hate this trick. But when it's Mac Miller asking you to borrow your cards to show you a trick, you let him. And amid doing his trick, all I can think to myself is, man, my phone's dead. I have no photos of this. No one's going to believe me. This is going to be something I'm going to know about and no one's going to believe me. It might make a cool status, but still, it's just not going to stick. And right then and there, I look up and I see my photographer snapping all these photos. Throughout this process, there's a point where Mac Miller even pulls out his cell phone and takes a selfie, which is so mind-blowing to me. The way that this impacted me the most was that people finally started taking me seriously. You know, I used to have people say that, "Yo, Corey, what are you up to?" I'd say, "I'm a magician now." Like, "No, what are you really up to?" I'm like, "I'm a fucking magician now." But after this, people would see it on social media. Not only did it get the most amount of likes from a post, but, you know, people would come up to me and say, "Yo, I saw you do magic to Mac Miller." And they get so excited to interact with me. And I look back to say, like, you know, if interaction went anything different, if I got denied doing magic to Mac Miller, that could have crushed me. That could have crushed my whole career. The fact that he gave me the time of his day to enjoy my magic made such an impact in my life. And I credit him for that. This all took place July 2013 when I was 20 years old. And when he passed 5 years later, I was devastated. It was so surreal, something that I couldn't wrap my head around. No one could. No one was expecting this. Mac Miller of all people. And with the new album release coming out after his passing, I thought, I want to share my story with him and showcase him smiling in a way that most people had maybe never seen him smile like this. At a time that he was super happy and just feeling so good and living in the moment. I just really wanted to share that with, all of his fans, his family, anyone that ever was impacted by him, giving me a shot, giving me a chance, letting me approach him and sharing his time with me. For that, I'm forever grateful, and I'll always be the biggest fan. So these are just some of the photos. And if you want to find out more about me, go check out my social medias. I've got a Facebook page, I'll have the link below. And then to see the rest of the photos, go follow my Instagram at Corey Van Valin. And I'll be sure to follow back on that account. Comment below who you'd like to see me do magic for. And I'll see what I can do to make that happen.